So, did Tara's memory come back?
No, not yet. Well, we're super lucky that she forgot only about us.
My husband and mother-in-law took advantage of the fact that I was sleeping to reveal their true nature.
Beryl, I hope we can get her to come back to our place so we can use her again.
Why do I have to do all the housework? It's a real pain in the ass. She's the one who's supposed to be doing all the work.
Why don't you get better by now, useless bitch?
I'm Terry, a 32-year-old office worker. This sucks. I don't know how I let it happen. Then I heard a familiar voice and I opened my eyes.
Barry, you're awake. Thank God.
I opened my eyes and there was my mother with tears in her eyes. I looked around and realized that I was in a hospital room.
Mom, why am I here?
Seems like you suddenly got dizzy outside and fell down the stairs. You had a concussion and lost consciousness. You were rushed to the hospital by ambulance.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Oh, apologize. I'm so glad you are awake. I'm gonna get a doctor now.
Said that my mother left the room. And then a man came into the room as if to replace her. The man was looking at me awkwardly.
Dear, are you okay? Excuse me, who are you? Do I know you from somewhere?
I'm sorry, I am sorry I don't remember.
You're kidding, right? I'm Vince.
Actually, I had no idea who he was. This man calls me by name as if he is familiar with me. But for some reason, I can't remember anything about this man. I've never seen his face before, and I think I've ever heard his name before, Vince.
Did the man said something surprising? I am your husband.
How what?
Betrayal, I was confused. I was supposed to be single. I was never married. But the man in front of me says he is my husband.
You don't really remember anything, do you?
Well, I don't know.
I don't even know if I have no memory under the circumstances. I don't remember anything under the circumstances. While I was in trouble, my mother came with a doctor.
Oh, Vince, you're back.
Yes, I brought her some change of clothes.
My mother and the man are having a normal conversation. Could this man really be my husband?
Terry doesn't seem to remember me. Maybe she has memory loss.
My mother and the doctor's eyes widened at Vince's comment.
Let's arrange for an examination immediately.
The doctor said so, and I was admitted to the hospital for tests. For a few days until the test results came back, many people came to see me, one after another. People from work and my friends came to see me. I remembered them all. I tried to remember what I did for a living, and I did. How on earth could I have forgotten the man I called my husband? And there were other people I couldn't remember. His parents, especially my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law came to visit me several times, but I couldn't remember her as I couldn't remember my husband. I remembered the others no problem. I only forgot my husband and mother-in-law. Then the doctor told me the results of the tests. At first, they thought it was traumatic because I fell down the stairs. However, they said it wasn't traumatic because I didn't have any bleedings from hitting my head on the concrete in the street. Therefore, they said it was probably psychogenic, triggered by the head injury. The doctor's diagnosis made some kind of strange sense to me. Whenever I try to remember my husband and mother-in-law, I get pain in my head. It's as if there is something I don't want to remember. I wonder if my memories will ever come back. So my husband and mother-in-law are surprised that I don't remember them, but they seem to be concerned about me.
doctor. How long is Terry going to stay in the hospital? I hope you let her out soon. I heard she fell down the stairs. I'm glad she's all right.
But the doctor had explained to them, but they'd better wait a while, and even if she could be discharged, it would be better for her to stay at her own parents' house until her memory comes back.
Blythe, Terry's my wife.
That's right. And she was living with us. Are you saying you're going to take my daughter-in-law away from us?
I was surprised at my mother-in-law's sudden loud voice. The doctor was also surprised.
Please calm down. Also, this is a hospital, so please be quiet.
When the doctor said that, my parents-in-law kept their mouths shut. At this point, I had a sudden headache.
Terry, what's wrong?
I'm sorry, my head hurts.
Let's get you checked out right away, shall we?
After the doctor said this to me, he urged my in-laws to leave. The in-laws left the hospital room with grim faces. Their faces did not show that they were worried about me.
Are you okay?
I felt a little better, actually, after they left. After they left,
I see. You probably didn't have a good relationship with your husband or his parents. Well, I guess that they were putting a lot of stress on you. Ring any bells?
I don't know, but I guess you're right.
That's what I thought when I heard the doctor's words. I'm sure that what happened at my parents-in-law's house was so bad for me that my brain drowned out the bad memories of when I was badly injured. When I think about it, their panic when I was told by the doctor that I should go back to my parents' house seems suspicious to me. Perhaps they were in a hurry because they would no longer be able. The Caxtorts thought to use me for their convenience. I instantly became afraid of my in-laws. What in the world were they doing to me when we were living together? The only thing I could think of while living with them was bullying. Did my in-laws treat me that badly? But when I try to remember what happened at my in-laws' house, I can't remember at all. When I try to remember, my head hurts like hell. When I told my parents about it, they were very worried.
But honey, you told me that living together with them wasn't a problem.
Maybe we're holding back to avoid worrying us.
I don't know, but if that's the case, I'm sorry.
Just apologize, you're still at a loss of memory, and we don't know the truth yet.
Then my father seemed to have an idea and suggested something.
I wonder if it's safe to do that, or if he'll find out.
Well, let's just hope he doesn't find out.
I was worried, but I wanted to know the truth anyway, so I decided to carry out his plan.
Dearie, how do you feel?
The door of the hospital room opened and my husband came in.
Hey, you were sleeping?
He mumbles to himself. I am awake, but I'm pretending to be asleep for some reason. I wonder how my husband will react in front of me while I'm asleep. I'm watching him carefully to see if he reveals his true nature again. He sits down on a chair next to the bed and sighs. I hear the lid of the can of coffee pop open, then I hear the sound of coffee gurgling down my husband's throat. I take deep breaths and pretend to be sound asleep.
Vince, you got here first. Oh, Terry's asleep.
Yeah, she's been asleep since I arrived.
Where's her parents here?
I haven't seen them yet. I don't think they are coming today.
My husband was checking to see if anyone else was coming to the hospital room, as if he had something to hide. I thought it was kind of weird, and they started talking something unbelievable.
So, did she get her memory back?
Oh, she hasn't.
So she still doesn't remember what happened when she was injured.
That's right. I don't want her to remember that anyway. Oh, maybe it's a blessing in disguise that she's forgotten about us.
My husband and mother-in-law took advantage of the fact that I was sleeping to reveal their true nature.
As I hope we can get her to move back to our house so we can use her again.
Why do we have to do all the housework? It's a real pain in the ass. She's the one who's supposed to be doing all the work, right? Why don't you get better now? Use useless bi-eye.
When I heard their disparaging tone, suddenly a very bad memory came flooding back to me. Expectation, I remembered that I was treated horribly by my mother-in-law on a daily basis. My mother-in-law made me make breakfast for the four of us, cook lunch for her and my father-in-law every day in the morning, prepare a lunchbox for my husband, and do all the laundry and cleaning. I was physically and mentally exhausted.
Hey Terry, what's wrong with this food? It has no flavor. Make it again right now. I like strong flavors. Make mine stronger.
Has much reason after, but if I make a new batch now, I'll be late for work. Your husband likes it light flavored.
I don't care if you're late. It's more important that my husband and I have a decent meal.
When I came home from work, I had to prepare dinner. I always bathed last, and it was only at midnight that I could go to bed after all the chores were done. But in the morning, I had to wake up at around 5:00 a.m. every day. They were abusing me like this, so I was physically and mentally exhausted. I was in such a state that I could have collapsed at any moment. And I also remembered the time when I was injured and I lost my memory. It was when I was in the car that my husband was driving. We had gone out that day to buy a birthday present for my mother-in.
Get out of the car and walk home. You lousy wife.
Reaching, I made a crouching motion with my hands on my head, but my husband grabbed my arm and pulled me down. I fell to the ground with great force. He probably had a concussion from the strong impact and fainted. This is how I remember everything. I had to leave the hospital as soon as possible and call the police. I acted as if I had just woken up, just as the in-laws finished their conversations.
Terry, you're awake. How are you feeling? Take it easy. You can count on us if you need anything.
Oh, I'm sorry, I guess I fell asleep. I've been doing tests all day, and I am exhausted. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. I'll see you later.
I apologized, and they left with smiles on their faces. I called my parents right away and told them about what had happened and how they had treated me. Of course, I told them about the time I was until tased. Injured, my parents were very surprised and furious. They immediately called the police and filed a damage report, and we made up our minds to ask for a divorce. But all this had to be done without my in-laws finding out. I was discharged from the hospital and went back to my parents' house for the time being. My father and I visited my in-laws and asked them to let me take some of my belongings so that I can stay with my parents for a little while to rest. My in-laws asked me if my memory had returned. And I lied and said it still hadn't. My in-laws looked worried at first, and I told them that the doctor told me that my memory might not come back at all. When I told them that, their eyes lit up.
Well, I'm sorry about that, but don't worry, honey. You'll come back to us when you're feeling better, okay?
Yes, we care about you very much, Terry.
But your effing my husband and mother-in-law are saying such things. My dad clenched his fists but managed to calm down and be patient. He went to my room first to get my stuff. I collected my clothes and some things, trying not to let my in-laws know. After that, I went straight to the police station with my father. I explained the circumstances of my injury and filed a damage report. The police said they would start investigating immediately. Then we hired a lawyer and discussed the divorce. Fortunately, I had kept diaries of the abuse I received daily all this time. It was an unbelievable number of abusive behaviors recorded. My lawyer said that if I had this much evidence, I could file for alimony on my demands. And when I was all set, I decided to meet with my husband. I sent a message to my husband, stating that part of my memories had come back and that I wanted to talk to him. Sure enough, he brought his mother with him. So I brought my father and my lawyer along.
Oh, Terry, is it true that your memory has come back?
My husband and mother-in-law looked very upset. I told them calmly, showing no emotion.
Yes, I remember. I think I remember how you injured me and how your parents bullied me. That's bulkily male.
They turned pale when I said that. But my in-laws, still thinking they could get away with this, continued.
Hey, a minute. Disazabim instead of Monta, wait a minute. Do you have any proof that we did that?
Yeah, Vince is right. Don't you dare say such a stupid thing.
I can sue you for libel, you know?
My husband and mother-in-law are still threatening me.
Jerry had kept dozens of diaries to record the abuse she received from you two. She also secretly recorded your conversations in the hospital room at her father's suggestion. The conversation when Terry was injured is also in evidence.
When the lawyer said that they were understandably upset,
Wait a minute.
I've already reported that you caused my injury. I filed a damage report. There is a security camera on the street. Caught you pulling me out of the car. One of these days, the police are gonna bring you in for assault.
Oh no, this can't be.
my husband tried to run away. Then the lawyer said, if you run away, you'll be charged with even more serious crimes. He fell to his knees, and his mother froze, her face also pale.
Girl, I'm divorcing you, and I'm gonna charge you alimony for the mental anguish as well.
I said this, and left with my lawyer and my father. After a while, my divorce from my husband was finalized, and the alimony was paid. And then my ex-husband was arrested for assault. I did not settle and prosecuted him, and my ex-husband was fined. My ex-husband had already paid me alimony, and his savings were gone, so your parents paid the fine for the assault. His workplace found out about his arrest, of course, and my ex-husband was fired. Furthermore, the neighbors and relatives got to know about it, and the family became completely isolated. Because of his criminal record, my ex-husband could not get a job at all, and he shut himself away from the family. My ex-mother-in-law has to support a grown-up child with a small pension and is forced to live a poor life. I, on the other hand, have successfully returned to work. I'm working hard now, and I've just been promoted to manager. Now that I am back at home, I can save most of my income. Recently, I've been wasting the money I've saved to increase my assets. I don't want to be in a relationship for a while. Instead, I'm going to take trips with my parents and spend more time with my family.